Hello, everybody out there. Welcome to another My Music. It's a special My Music today because tomorrow is an incredibly special day. Tomorrow is Friday, the 8th of March, and that means that I'm going to Legoland. But that's not the reason why it's a special day, although that is quite exciting. I'm going to ask my guests, why is tomorrow a special day?
Because my debut album, Better, is being released.
Woo! How amazing is that? We're going to find out all about that from Ariane X. See how I've developed that for you. That's going to be your signature. It's almost like the Spice Girls, isn't it?
Perfect. I love it.
I think you got to do it a bit like. Do you remember Adam and the Ants? Yeah, yes. You remember? Yeah.
Yes. Perfect. Yep.
Get that double whammy in there. We're going to find out all about this album and the lady behind it and her music and everything else just after this.
Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop. Keep on, don't stop.
Hello, and there are loads of people watching. It's going up rapidly as we speak. There's 20 people watching currently, and it's going up. Folks, this is interactive, by the way. So if you want to put any comments, questions, or anything in the chat, please do. And the ground is open. You can ask Ariane X anything you like, and she will answer them. Unless it's rude, and then we will censor it. Okay, that's the rules. How are you doing? We're going to be honest. I'm going to be honest. We pre-recorded something, and we tried to do this before, and then the technology just failed miserably yesterday. I'm really quite angry with the people behind the technology, and it all went corrupted. So we decided to do it live again today, and thank you for doing it twice.
That's okay.
But they do say twice as nice. So, hopefully it will be fantastic. Yeah. Tell me about why now in your life it's the time to release an album.
Well, I mean, I've left it quite late, haven't I? I'm 43.
I think you've started really early because I haven't done mine yet.
Well, how old are you, Graham?
How old do you think I am?
25.
Nearly. So nearly. 25. Do you know what's funny about that? If you take that number and you turn it the other way around, you're absolutely bob on. 52.
Right.
There you go. You see? So, yes, if you look at 25 in a mirror, that's what I am. And one day I will get the album out, and I'm in awe of you for doing it, because I think it's just the right thing to do for a lot of people.
Well, the thing is, if I hadn't done it, I would always regret it.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to leave it until I was 80 and on my deathbed. I think your voice, my voice is giving out now, but I think your voice gives out after a certain point. Like, I know, like, Mick Jagger's still singing, Paul McCartney's still singing, but it's possible that you stop being able to sing as well. So, 43, that doesn't really happen, doesn't tend to happen. So
I don't think Paul McCartney, bless his soul, is quite getting the high notes in quite the same way that he used to. But I mean, he's still holding a tune, which is fantastic. Mick Jagger just runs on different batteries from everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. And they've gone on forever. And that's the thing about the music industry. If you get in your late teens, early 20s, you're allowed to continue for as long as you want. But
Oh, are
It's
you though these days? Are you these days? Do you think if you come in now as a youngster, do you think that you can carry on as long as you want? I think you've got to have success fairly early in your career
Yeah.
for you to be able to carry on. There must be an awful lot of people out there, and you must have seen this yourself over the years because you've been a journalist and you've written
Yeah.
about musicians and you've stayed around musicians. There's a lot of people that started, they had a hit, then it didn't quite work out, and then they got all creative and the record company didn't like what they were doing, and
Sure.
and actually it just all kind of petered out.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah. But if you're successful, if you're very successful, like Madonna or any of the megastars, then you can continue for as long as you like. Now Taylor Swift, she can continue. She could upload an album to Spotify of her armpit farts, and people would listen. They'd be bemused, certainly. But it's like
not that she would. Let's just clarify that before Taylor Swift's lawyers come on.
wouldn't
Taylor
that be
Swift
great?
would
Wouldn't
never
that
ever do that because she's a savvy businesswoman
She
for a
is, but
start.
wouldn't that be amazing if Taylor Swift sued me? Think of the publicity for saying,
That's
yeah.
it. That's absolutely it, isn't it? Yeah. You
But
do wonder sometimes. Well, actually, in the precursor to this, when you put this out on X, was it yesterday, the day before, you did say that you weren't going to be doing your naked thing and whatever, and I said shame because, and actually, what I meant by that was that if you had done that on here, that would be great for my career because suddenly everybody would want to see this, So
oh, thank you. That's very flattering. I mean, I kind of think that, this is a very clean album. This is my phase where I'm, being kind of demure and, proper. So this is a lovely, sweet album. For my next two albums, they're all about my ex-boyfriend.
So it's going to go dirty. Is
It's
that what
gonna
you're
go
saying?
dark and yeah, edgy. I mean, my next album is called Bitter with an I. And then I had so much material from that relationship in lockdown that the one after that is called Still Bitter.
Still Bitter.
Still Bitter,
Yeah.
the B-sides, yeah. And the one after that is called Broken, about my last relationship.
Do
Which
you know
was
what? I love the fact that you're like 4 albums in. We're talking here. We are talking about album 1, and you're 4 albums in already.
Well, yeah. I mean, yes, I've got it all planned out in my head. So my latest album that I've been working on now is the one that's 4th is called Broken, and that's about my ex who was a greengrocer. And there are no songs about vegetables. Maybe I'm missing a trick. Maybe I should write a song about vegetables.
Well, now I was going to ask you because obviously you're talented in other areas. Are we going to see at some point? Because this sounds like this is a series of albums which are effectively like reflecting on parts of your life, etc. So, are we going to see the book of the album of the podcast of the? Do you see what I'm saying here?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
No.
I'm so focused on the music now. It's like I've suppressed it for 20 years because I gave up half my life ago. I had a meeting with Warner's and they said, oh, you need to work on your sound, but we're really interested. Come back in a year. They said, you've got till you're 26. And I just thought, wow, you're written off at the age of 26. Now that's like a third of the way through your life. That's 8 years into adulthood.
How old were you when they said that?
22. I was 22.
And you were just like, let me see what I'm doing for the rest of my life. Okay. We're 26, you say?
Yeah.
No, that doesn't quite work with me. I've got other things that I want to do.
No, I mean, the thing is, I didn't actually have other things that I wanted to do. I really did want to be a pop star, but there were no Asian artists. There were no female solo Asian artists. There was no Charlie XCX. There was no Back for Lashes. There was no MIA. Yep. And I genuinely felt that it wasn't going to happen for me. Like, if there's no representation in the music industry for you, then what are the chances it's going to happen for you? Now, there were other artists who had tried to make it, other mixed race Asian artists like Narina Palo and Raisa, and they got dropped. They didn't succeed at what they wanted to do. I mean, Narina's doing quite well now, but on the alternative kind of,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, I've seen her live a couple of times. So
it's
she's a
amazing.
great artist. I suppose, and I suppose this happened to an awful lot of artists that were talented but didn't kind of fit the
Yeah,
criteria. They
yeah,
got kind of pushed into writing for other people. It's like, can you sit behind, this is the next pop star that we want, can you sit behind and write for this person?
yeah.
And she does a great job of writing for other people. Let's she's written for lots of people, but she's such a great artist in her own right. And it's a shame that in a way that she hasn't been seen by the public in the right eyes for a long time, or she kind of got sidelined in that way by the record industry. I mean, she may not feel like that, but I just think,
I mean,
yeah,
Polydor really were going to push her. She had this big deal with Polydor, and they were pushing her as like the next big thing, and it just didn't happen for whatever reason. I think she had like one top 10 hit, but yeah, then you get dropped because you're costing them too much, and so I've got a tiny record label that have signed me. They're called Banoffee Sound.
love it.
And they've had hits in the past with kind of dance pop tracks, including a Eurovision hit. Yeah. And my stuff is a bit more alternative. It's a bit different. There's lots of songs about mental illness. And so it's not that kind of very happy, cheery kind of vibe, but also it's very pop. So it's very melodic. It's basically sort of big pop songs with quite dark lyrics, some of them, and then just some of them about how much I love my daughter. So and I thought that it's quite good to release it now because she's 12 and she's not yet at that sort of self-conscious teenage phase where she refuses to star in the videos.
No, although when she's in the video, and let's just talk about the video because the video is great. And the video has clips of you and her standing in front of a garage.
Yeah,
which I love because that's keeping it real, right? It's not in some kind of starry studio somewhere. It's outside the garage, and she's dancing. But you can see she's kind of a little bit like, "Oh, Mum, you're doing this." It's starting already, isn't it? So you know that your time is like limited there.
Yeah.
Before she's like, "Oh, I'm not doing this."
Yeah, no, absolutely, and it's really sweet actually to watch her doing the dancing. She starred in a film last year funded by the BFI, so she has done professional acting before. She actually got more money in her bank account than me due to that. So we couldn't afford a starry studio, and there's nowhere glamorous to film in Upton Park. It's a very poor area. It's the most ethnically diverse area of the country, which I love because she's growing up in this very affluent area of North London half the time with her dad. So then she comes here, half the other half, and sees, how the other half live. And, not everybody is rich, people are struggling, and not everybody is white. This is 42.5% Asian in our area, 17% Black, and I think it's only 14% white British.
Yeah.
So it is incredibly mixed. And I love that because obviously I'm mixed as well. And I feel very at home here. But yeah, filming in front of garages, that was pretty much the most glamorous place to film, to be honest.
I love it. It's completely real. And as it is as a subject as well, what you're talking about there, that talking about love for your daughter, which some stars have done that. They've written about, the love for their children, etc. I'm not sure that I can name off the top of my head. You might be able to. People talking about the love for their child, but also marrying that up with this message about sort of a kind of an anti-racism message, and also, you know, being glad in a way that that the child is not going to necessarily be bullied in the same way that you were. Were there any other examples that you found of that, or you might know of that?
No, not at all. Not
It's
at all.
completely unique. You see, you've done it. You've
Well,
written something that's unique. Perfect.
I remember the first time that you interviewed me and you said it's a very mummy album, isn't it? And I was thinking, yes, if we can use mummy as an adjective, it is the mummiest album. Like,
It's the mother of all mummy albums.
there are
You
other.
can quote me on that. That's going on the t-shirt.
I love that. That is perfect. I love it. But
Yeah.
so Madonna wrote a song for her first daughter called Little Star, and Mel B wrote a song for her first daughter called Lullaby. But I don't think that there's anybody who's written a whole album that I can think of about their child. And also, most people don't write whole albums about one thing.
No.
I love doing that because it's just really clean, and I can immerse myself in thinking about this one thing, and then I move on and I think about somebody else. So every track on the album is a letter to my daughter, and every track on the next albums are letters to my ex-boyfriend.
But also, do you not think that actually, and I'm not saying it excludes other people, because I've listened to it and clearly I'm not a woman. I don't have a mother-daughter relationship with my daughter. I have a father-daughter relationship with my daughter, etc. So it's not going to exclude other people as an audience. But do you think that you will find an audience of people that this really, you know, makes sense to, because people out there are mothers, have teenage or growing into teenage daughters, etc., will have gone through the same thing relationship wise and everything else, as you know, and they will just get it. They will completely get it.
I mean, I think it's unlikely unless they're a single mixed race Asian mum with mental health issues who sees her daughter half the time. I mean, it's very specific.
So there's thousands of people out there then. That's what you're saying.
Yes, but do they like melodic electropop? I mean, it's very specific.
Totally. I honestly, I think you're underestimating the fact that there may well be a lot of other people out there that will at least acknowledge or feel or have been through various elements of you. I mean, I don't think any artist coming at their music will ever completely relate to their audience 100%, or the audience won't relate to them 100%. Because there's an artistic element to whatever anybody creates, and one person's life is unique from another person's life. But I do think that there are a lot of things that you will talk about which will highly resonate with people out there, which aren't being talked about in general pop music. For a start, you're not just larring all the time, are you? You're not just riffing.
No.
You know.
I mean, it's like there's songs like Happy where I say, you know, you could do anything, you could do all these professions, but all I want you to be is happy. And I think a lot of parents will relate to that because, you know, you're only as happy as your unhappiest child, right? And you do feel
Really?
their sadness very acutely. And so, yeah, I think that will make sense to people. I think that songs like Tiny Girl will also make sense to people. I mean, you know, they say that a quarter of people have mental health problems. So there will be a lot of parents out there who struggle with their mental health and how to broach it with their kids or trying to hide it from their kids, that kind of thing. I'm doing a lot better now, actually, than when I wrote the songs on that album. I'm a lot more on an even keel. I'm very happy generally, but yeah, it's
how much of that was down to writing, or you know, you presumably were having therapy, or you were throughout this, but you know, how much was that? How helpful has this process been to you being where you are now in terms of your mental health, etc.?
It's been really helpful. Like, I love it. And when I'm creating, whether that's writing music, producing in the studio, writing stories or books or whatever, I am not thinking about, my worries. Because I have a lot of anxiety of it. I have extreme anxiety. And so, yeah, that's been wonderfully helpful. I was in therapy from the ages of 15 to 38. But on and off. So it wasn't like 23 consecutive years. And then also I have been on meds since 2010, and they've really helped. I mean, they've made all the difference, really. They've taken me from like 0% happy and normal to like 90%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't be able to do this interview with you now if I wasn't on the meds at all. No, I'd be like crying and shaking in a corner. So
Well, I'm glad that you are able to do that. Now, listen, look, we're up to 8. Oh, it's going up even further. 84 people watching at the moment. Now, look, if all 84 people that are listening now, and whoever listens to this later on, hello everybody else,
hello.
actually brought the music or gave you some money towards it, that would be wonderful, because
Oh,
then actually that would pay for the next album,
yes. And I could get off universal credit, and I wouldn't have to, they're trying to get me to take jobs as a cleaner, and that's a
No,
that's a good honest job, but
it is a good honest job, but it doesn't allow you to be this creative,
no.
vibrant person that you really honestly need to be. So just a little plug in the middle of all of this, if you're watching and you're enjoying this, and you want to support my wonderful friend here in terms of making the music, please, when at the end of all of this, when we give you the link so that you can go and support, please do actually go and support.
Oh, thank you.
Do it.
Thank
you
you
know
so much.
Well, no, it's important. Sometimes people need to be told that sort of thing, because I think these days one of the problems that we have, I don't know whether you think this as well, but one of the problems we have with everything that's created is we just kind of assume that stuff is created for us.
Sure.
It's not like in the good old days where you physically had to buy everything that was created. Yeah, so much exists within the digital realm, so we just kind of assume it's just appeared there by
Yeah.
these people.
It's massively helpful if people buy the album on Bandcamp, because I could get 1 million streams on Spotify. Well, chance would be a fine thing, but if I got 1 million streams on Spotify, that's £3,000. So the proportion is so much lower for streaming than it is for actually buying and supporting artists
I
directly.
was just going to get my wallet there for a second and give you the 2p that would relate to me streaming it on a platform or another. But that's the trouble. That's how much you would make from streaming.
Yeah, absolutely. But on the other hand, it is amazing for the consumer, for the music lover, because you get all the music in the world. I mean, I remember when I was a kid and cassette tapes were like, oh God, I mean, I think cassette tapes were something like 8 quid, and then like CDs were 12 quid to 14 quid. And, that was a big chunk of pocket money. Whereas, now you've got a 10.99 Spotify membership and you can have all the music in the world, which is incredible.
Yeah, actually, but just to say on that as well, folks, we're not stopping you from streaming the music as well. So when the album's out tomorrow, please do stream it as well, but just buy it and stream it. And if you're going to stream it, please do follow and actually add tracks from the album to your playlists as well.
Oh, thank
you. Because the reason being is then that weird thing called the algorithm, which I don't know, I still think it's a vegetable. It then likes it, you see, and then it will push in the right direction.
That would be amazing.
It's weird, isn't it? The algorithm, don't you think?
Yeah.
So it's a weird world that we live in these days, where our kind of success, is there or thereabouts determined by something that we have very little control over.
Yeah, and there's a lot of distractions other than that as well. So even if people do see your things, even if the algorithm does push you towards people, there's so many competing attractions for their attention. And there's so many different social media apps, and it's a constant sort of battle to get your audience's attention and to build an audience. But I do have a super fan called Phil, and Phil gives me £200 a year. So I just need more Phils, if that doesn't sound rude.
Have you thought about that? Are you thinking about starting a Patreon, or
Yeah, I've got a Patreon.
You got a Patreon? Yeah, cool.
Patreon.com/Ariane X Music. And yeah, Phil has been incredibly supportive. So I think that if I have Phil, then there will be other people who will enjoy the music.
What are we going to call them? Because like most artists that I know, that where they've got patrons, that what they've done to make people feel kind of even more involved in it is that they've come up with a special name for their group of people. So what are you calling your group of supporters?
Do you know, on Patreon, I always call them lovelies. Hey, lovelies.
Lovelies.
Yeah, because that's nice, because I really care about them, and they care about me, and
they could be your lovely exes, though.
They could be. I don't have that many lovely exes. Most of them are not lovely.
Perhaps they're not your lovely exes. More your lovely currents, or sultanas, which way you roll with that.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about the energy on this album as well?
Sure.
For a start, it's going to make everybody want to go and listen to it. It's boundless, absolutely boundless. There is not a moment. I did say that when I talked to you before, but there is not what you might expect on this album, which is the odd ballad in there, and there's nothing that's a real straightforward ballad or a slower number or whatever. Basically, this is high energy from start to finish.
Yeah, it's very up tempo, and I love that, because I love tracks that you can dance to, that you can tap your foot to.
Do the ironing to.
Yes, absolutely. Do the housework too, and there's no kind of really out and out sort of boom, boom, boom kind of trancey, house garage tracks or anything, but it's definitely up tempo. There is a sort of ballad, which is Miracle, but even that is like 80 beats per minute. It's not any slower than that. And yeah, it's interesting actually, because I'm going to be busking the album in Stratford. So I'm going to be there tomorrow from about 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the main square. And it's really kind of nice, because like all of human life is there, like everybody. It's very busy. There's 2 shopping centres, so there's people walking from one shopping centre to the other. There's the Stratford station is there. There's a stall saying Jesus is Lord, which is giving out Bibles.
Right.
There's a stall giving out Qurans. Yeah. And then there's me, who's like well known as like a big atheist.
Are you in between the two? Are you keeping the two slightly apart? Are you keeping the peace? Is that how that works? Or
no, they're very peaceful. They're very chill. Yeah.
Okay.
Although there is a preacher sometimes on Saturdays that says, Jesus needs to forgive you for your sinning. And I just want to say, no, I need Jesus to forgive me for my singing.
I love that.
But yeah, so it'll kind of be a nice sort of contrast, I think. I do have a song, Miracle, that starts, I don't like religion, its stories are all fiction. So I'm not going to do that one, because I think that is for trouble.
That could be. You could be warming up the wrong sort of audience there. but do you see it like, it sounds like this is kind of a spiritual space that people can come into to get whatever they need for their life.
Yeah, really. whether that's Christianity, Islam, or music,
exactly.
Why not?
Yeah.
And
well, not just music, but music.
Yes, absolutely. But I mean, most of the songs playing, they're very clean. I mean, they're all clean. All the songs I'm playing are clean. There's one I was debating playing off the next album, which was sort of, you know, the Roxy Music song Love is a Drug. Love is
Yeah.
the drug. And like basically it's talking about love but as an obsession and relating it to a drug, and I don't want the police to think that I'm encouraging the youth of Stratford to take drugs. So I'm a bit worried about that, but apart from that, you know, everything is just kind of really full of love for my daughter or full of kind of angst for my ex, but they're all, you know, super kind of suitable for the public. And it's quite interesting because when I was doing the album, I thought, is there any point doing clean versions of the next album? Because, you know, it's always a bit crap when you hear an artist saying, you know, instead of saying the F word, I don't give an F, they say, I don't give a stuff. And it's like, oh. Stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad that I did do the live versions, and so that I can perform them live. So that
Well, we've had that quite a lot recently with the Last Dinner Party. You know, the Last Dinner Party, the young girl band, because obviously their big hit has that word in it. You know,
Sure.
and it's been weird, kind of like listening to them doing it and like other people covering it on Radio 1 and whatever, and you know, altering that word for the censorship of, you know, just doesn't have the same impact, does it?
Most of the time they just mute it now in songs. So like back in the day, they used to do like a DJ scratch or like some kind of inventive thing, but now they just like mute the words.
Do you know what? You just reminded me of one of my favorite things in the world, which is listening to is when like a commercial radio station plays like early sort of N&M tracks.
Yeah.
And it's virtually half of a song. You know, it's almost like why are you now playing this? Because it's so stilted. The whole thing is so stilted because there's so many swear words that are being muted out. It's almost like it doesn't sound right at all.
No, not at all.
It's kind of like it's almost like he's got a speech impediment, you know, and it's not right. It's just
it's not. I think just play the track or don't play the track in that case.
Don't play it, or just play it later at night.
Yeah,
when people can, you know, make up their own minds.
But there won't be that with this album at all. That won't be a problem.
Just so before, because we've got figures over 100, so whilst we've got great figures, let's just give the details of the album and where people can go and get it again, just so that they're really clear on this, so that we get the money in. Yeah. I feel like Bob Geldof today. I want to do my Bob Geldof. Give us the money. Come on.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Yeah. So basically you can buy it at arianexmusic.bandcamp.com. So right now you can access the whole album, or you can stream it from tomorrow on Spotify, Apple Music, and all the other streaming services.
Do both. And buy the t-shirt, even though it doesn't exist at the moment. Yeah. Just pre-order the t-shirt anyway by giving your money, and we'll make the t-shirt happen, whatever you want.
Thank you so much, Graham, and thank you to everybody who might go on and buy it. I really appreciate that.
No, absolutely. Kind of final questions. You know, you have written books in the past as well, and if people would like to continue to support by buying those books, that would be marvelous as well. But you know, this is going to lead to somewhere, right? This is going to lead to somewhere big, and you're going to become a big star, and etc. So, who's going to write the book of your story?
Oh well,
if you could pick someone that you know as an author who would then write your story, who would you pick?
So it would be my friend David Stubbs. He's a music journalist. He's best known as Mr. Agreeable from Melody Maker in the 1990s. He's an amazing guy. He's written so much great stuff. He's like been a music journo for 40 years. And he's also the kindest, most generous, and most warm-hearted guy that I've ever met. So yes, it would definitely be David.
David, if you're listening, you better get started now. Just pre-warning. Put that in your diary for the next few years. Okay, you're going to be writing. You're going to be writing the X Files.
Perfect title.
See what we did there?
Love that.
Yeah, that's going to be good. Yeah, we might have to get through a few copyright meetings with that one. I think that could be a problem. No, there we go. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing this career of yours, this new part of your life, which has been there forever and is now just finding that its form and its beauty and everything else coming to fruition over the next years or so, you know.
Thank you so much.
And may you continue until you're in your 80s, you know, and who knows, Mick Jagger may still be around and you may end up duetting with him at Wembley Stadium. He might be in a wheelchair by then, but
that would be amazing to duet with him.
Who knows? Look, it's always fun to talk with you. In all honesty, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I do wish you well. Folks, do go and check out Ariane X's music, please. Stream it from the end of the week, but buy it first as it comes out. Buy it. You see, sending subliminal messages across the interweb. And do come back when album 2 is out as well. So and give us a sort of rundown of how things have been since coming on here. I expect in the meantime we're going to see you on lots of TV shows. I expect you're going to be on Loose Women. And any other favorites that you'd like to do on this morning?
One show, any of those?
One show. If you're watching any of those people, I do know because she contacted me after her daughter came on one of these, Carol Smiley. So maybe I should see whether she would do a little interview with you at some point. That would be nice. Carol.
Very cool.
Ariane, Carol, you know, let's get people involved in the whole campaign. That would be marvelous. Folks, this has been another My Music. The aim of this program, as ever, is to introduce you to people who are making great music, who are being passionate about things in their life and that you can resonate with, and that maybe you wouldn't have found if we didn't take the time and space to just put a little message out there. So if you've enjoyed this, please do follow and share this with your friends as well, because that means a lot to me. But make sure when you do listen to the artists that you love, you give them some financial support if you can. And if nothing else, press the follow button on their Spotify, send them a little message on Instagram or whatever other platforms they're on. Tell them how their music has impacted your life, because it all means something. It really does. So until next time, bye for now. Bye. Thank you so much.
Oh, that was so nice. And that was like, I think like much better than the first interview. And you were so kind to me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
And I'm stopping it now.
Oh.